Hi everyone, I just wanted to take a few minutes to do a quick review of your change project paper and your change presentation. I know many of you are at very different places in your practicum, but I know some of you are really getting close to are actually embarking on your papers and your change presentations. So I wanted to take just a minute to go through those with you. Just a reminder, the change paper is due April the 15th and the presentations are due by April the 25th. That does not mean that you need to wait until those dates to submit your assignments. If you're running ahead of the game, so to speak, for those assignments, you can most certainly submit those when they're completed. And just remember for the presentation, if you have your presentation already scheduled, be sure to let me know when your scheduled time is. I will try to make every effort to actually attend your presentation or attend via Skype. And if I'm not able to, just remember that you do need to have your presentation videoed. And part of the process of doing the presentation is actually to help those presentation skills as a leader. And that's what we're hearing from our advisory committee, that they really want to have strong leaders that have strong skills in doing presentations or public speaking. So that's one of the reasons why we have you do presentations. So with that being said, let me go ahead and pull across our rubric for the paper itself. And actually the paper is the basis for your presentation. So you're really getting the foundation for your presentation by doing the paper. So they really work hand in hand. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a deep dive into the literature and really take a look at your topic or your change project. And you will actually be looking in the literature for a change model as well. And what change model are you going to use to guide the process of the change? So keep that in mind. That's a real important detail. You will actually include specific measurable goals for the implementation of your change. And sometimes the changes are a part of a bigger change, and that's perfectly fine. Really focus on your part of that particular change. The other thing to remember is your change plan is different than your scholarly project. That's a totally different subject. And also, if you've approached some of the same topics in some of your previous courses, just remember that the process of doing this project is to build your skills, not to replicate what you've already gained. So keep that in mind. And also keep in mind the principle of self-plagiarism. That's something that we need to avoid. We need to make sure that we're developing new work as we're doing each one of our assignments. So keep that in mind. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. Again, we don't want to replicate what's already been done because that doesn't help with your learning. We want to build upon it if it's the same topic. That's perfectly fine. But we're adding to, we're not duplicating. So kind of keep that in mind as you're developing your work. And you will submit this paper to SafeAssign. So it will check to see if there's information that's duplicated or inappropriately cited within your paper, and that becomes an issue if we're seeing quite a bit of replication. And the process of SafeAssign actually compares your paper to what's out there and what's been submitted in the past. So meaning what's out there is what is out there on the internet. It does a very detailed search, and it will actually, if there's sentences that have over like a 70% match, it will indicate that that's a duplication of some previous work. So again, if you have any questions about that, let me know. But I did want to touch on the self-plagiarism because sometimes we have similar projects and sometimes we use some of the same resources, and using the same resources is fine. Again, not to duplicate what you've already done, but to build upon what you are actually learning and doing. So I think I beat a dead horse. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure that you all understand, and if you don't, let me know. So with your paper itself, you're going to start out with the introduction. Please use headings to guide you. Within the literature review, you'll have subheadings, the different components that make up your literature review. And then you're going to provide an overview of your change. And you really want to take a look at making sure that your change is an evidence-based change. So that's really important as well, not just what you sort of think needs to be done, or if there's a policy change that your facility is wanting you to do, what is the supporting information for that particular change. So you'll also include a timeline and your specific and measurable goals. You'll have a very clear conclusion, and of course we are looking at APA format and making sure that your word choice is such that reflects a master's prepared nurse. So we don't use words like a lot, those types of things. We don't want to use very common or non-formal language. So keep that in mind as you're writing your papers as well. So I think that's a good overview of that one. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. And next we're going to take a look at the presentation. Again, the paper will actually support your presentation and the information that you'll include in your presentation. So you're really going to want to make sure that you have valuable content in the presentation to support your major points, and you want to make sure that your presentation looks professional. You don't want to overcrowd your slides. You want to make sure that the font is readable and understandable. It's very important to cite your resources on the slide, and when you cite on slides, you cite in the manner the same way that you do in the body of your papers. So like in parentheses you would have the author and the date, or multiple authors and dates. So keep that in mind as you're doing your presentation, that you need to make sure that your slides are cited as well. And then of course you'll have your reference list at the end of the presentation. So, and just always, whenever you're doing a presentation, make sure that you have objectives that are specific to that particular presentation and how you're going to measure those objectives, whether it would be a discussion at the end or possibly a post-test, those types of things. So make sure that you have some means to measure your objectives when you're doing presentations. And of course we're looking for those professional presentation skills, and that's part of the process of doing the presentation as well. So if you have any questions about doing the presentation or doing the paper, please let me know, and let me know if I can help you in any way as you move forward with your practicums. Thank you so much. Take care now.